2024 has been an extremely strange season here in Kansas City, and I have to imagine that right now the Kansas City Chiefs are the recipient, I suppose, of the most discontented 10-0 fan base in the history of the NFL. I'm not saying it's unwarranted, I'm just saying undoubtedly, to me, that's true. I don't think there has ever been a fan base that was 10-1 with as many gripes as have the Kansas City Chiefs fans this year. And further than that, we can go back a couple of years to that 2022 draft, vaunted as it was. And this year, George Karlaftis is so that 2022 draft class, new success immediately, Super Bowl and Super Bowl success immediately was vaunted as having basically been one of the maybe the greatest Chiefs draft class of all time. But this year, George, and they contributed early. They contributed to those Super Bowls that they were right there being drafted to play in. George Karlaftis, down year, don't know what's happening. He's not being double teamed. He's just not producing. Sky Moore, this is the season we finally don't have Sky Moore to worry about. Brian Cook is kind of bad half the time. Joshua Williams has been relegated to special teams where he can't stop committing penalties. There is, of course, Jalen Watson, who finds himself injured yet again. There is, of course, Isaiah Pacheco, who finds himself injured yet again. And there is Najee Johnson, who is continually, well, cooked. And obviously, Darian Kinnard did not last to this season. And in light of that, in lieu of that maybe, in response to that perhaps, I don't know exactly, this recent draft class has been looked at largely as a failure. Xavier Worthy, people were talking even up to just a couple weeks ago that he was a bust. Obviously, when you're looking at Kingsley Suamataia, who was the 63rd pick in the draft, you're not happy with the fact that he's not starting. You're not happy with the fact that in his limited exposure, he has looked really kind of bad. But I want to take a video and some time to defend Kingsley Suamataia. I think there is more going on there. There is still more under the hood than we are maybe largely as a fan base willing to accept. I went to Pro Football Focus. I know, not the greatest source, but you can trust them somewhat for some things, and this is an opinion question, so we can take their opinion for what it's worth. And I wanted to look at what a top tackle is, a top offensive tackle in the NFL. And there are 64 starting tackles in the NFL, 2 per team. So I said, let's just look at the top quartile. 16 offensive tackles. Here is the list as ranked by Pro Football Focus. Trent Williams, Tristan Wirfs, Penei Sewell, Christian Darrisaw, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Tyron Smith, Laramie Tunzel, Rashawn Slater, Colton Miller, Andrew Thomas, Terron Armstead, Taylor Motton, Taylor Decker, Braden Smith, Bernhard Raymond. Now, you might be asking, what is this number here? You might know what that number is. That is the round and pick overall that this player was selected in the NFL draft. You will note most of them are first rounders. In fact, first round does not begin to explain it. Most of them are top 13 picks. Trent Williams, 4th overall. Tristan Wirfs, 13th overall. Penei Sewell, 7th overall. Lane Johnson, 4th. Tyron Smith, 9th. Laramie Tunzel, 13th. Rashawn Slater, 13th. Andrew Thomas, 4th. So here's something that I believe you probably also believe. So long as number 15 is slinging the rock in Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs are extremely unlikely to have one of these top 13 selections, one of these top 16 selections. So let's look at the outliers here, the players here that are not top 16 picks. Christian Darrisaw was picked 23rd overall. That can be, there's not going to be more than, say, 6, 7, 8 offensive tackles taken in the first round of any draft. Right? There's just there's too many positions, and there's too many outstanding players at lower positional values. So is an offensive guard a lower positional value than tackle? Yes. But there's pretty much always one that sneaks into the first round. So this could be a difference being picked 23rd of, well, a couple guys ahead of him got taken that were maybe on the fence. Like, you were the 21st. Oh, you were the 15th team. You had a name listed right before Christian Darrisaw as 0.1, 1/10 of a point better in grade than Christian Darrisaw. You still took that player, pushing Christian Darrisaw to the next player, next offensive tackle taken several picks later, right? So, okay, outside of the top 16 for sure, but really the Kansas City Chiefs are unlikely to be drafting in the top 23 either. Well, Jordan Mailata doesn't count. Just doesn't count. You can say that I am being persnickety. You can pretend that I am arguing, or I am changing this to fit my argument. I don't care. Look into it. Jordan Mailata just doesn't count. That is an outlier of all outliers. You get down here, Braden Smith and Bernhard Raimann. They're both Indianapolis Colts. So, yeah, they were both drafted outside of the top 16 picks, outside of the top 32 picks. But are they really back-to-back on this ranking? Or is it possible that these guys just have extremely good coaching, have extremely good players playing next to them, and actually are fitting into the system that they play better than most offensive tackles? That's what I would say. Maybe there's some of that involved. So if one team has both of their offensive tackles as outliers in the top 16, probably there's something more going on there. So what else are we looking at here? Well, let's see. Here are the ages of these players in order: 36, 25, 24, 25, 27, 34, 33, 30, 25, 29, 25, 33, 30, 31, 28, 27. If I were to ask you to build a list of the top 16, the top 25% of offensive tackles in the NFL, do you think you would be looking for 7 players over 30? That's what this list has. 7 players who are 30 years old or older. There are 11 players on this list who are 27 years old or older. Now, Kingsley Suamataia is 21 until January. Kingsley Suamataia will not turn 21 until 2025. He is an extremely young player. Kingsley Suamataia will be younger than many of the first-round picks in next year's draft. But there's another offensive tackle. Well, let me go through this first. So Kingsley Suamataia is 21. Many draft picks themselves are not as young as Kingsley Suamataia still is and will be until the end of his rookie season. Now, he was selected 63rd, overall. There were, in that time, He was in the midst of a run on offensive tackles. So from 55 to 75, 20 selections, there were 7 offensive tackles taken and 2 offensive guards taken. 9 picks in 20 selections were offensive linemen. Essentially, 30% of the NFL in that time decided to take an offensive lineman. Most of them offensive tackles. There was Patrick Paul at 55 overall. He was taken by the Dolphins. So far, he has played 82 snaps and 46 special team snaps. So if we go down here real quick, Kingsley Suamataia has 10 games, 2 starts, 162 snaps, and 46 special teams snaps. He has produced that. Patrick Paul, taken 8 selections before him, has 82 snaps, 46 special team snaps. Blake Fisher was taken 59th overall. He has played 114 snaps and 50 special team snaps. So a player taken 4 selections before Kingsley Suamataia has fewer. Now, there are a couple of standouts in this run. Taken 1 selection before Kingsley Suamataia, Roger Rosengarten, which might be why the Chiefs decided to trade up and get their guy. Roger Rosengarten, taken by the Ravens 62nd overall, has played 607 snaps and only 26 special team snaps because you don't want to have your starter out there, right? You don't want to have too much duty going on the rookie. Brandon Coleman was taken 67th by the Commanders. He has played 440 snaps and 55 special teams snaps. Caden Wallace, taken 68th overall, 70 snaps, 10 special team snaps by the Patriots. Kieran Amageji, 54 snaps, taken 75th overall, 54 snaps, 15 special team snaps. So, not a whole lot of playing time in that group outside of Kingsley Suamataia, who has the 3rd most snaps overall, Roger Rosengarten, and Brandon Coleman, the 2 tackles sandwiching in the draft Kingsley Suamataia. Roger Rosengarten going before him with 607 snaps, Brandon Coleman going after him at 67th overall with 440 snaps. Yes, he has struggled, has Kingsley Suamataia, in his time on the field so far, and I've tried to make it understandable through the fact that he was not a first-round pick. You're taking him all the way down at 63. Of course, there's going to be some growing pains. I've tried to say, look, it's his age. 21 years old. If you're looking at the top 16 tackles in the NFL, 11 are 27 years old or older. Kingsley Suamataia is going to be 25 when his rookie contract expires. He will be on his 2nd contract at 25 years old. So, there's going to be some growing pains with his incorporated to his time in Kansas City. But there was another offensive tackle who struggled early in his career, Eric Fisher. Eric Fisher was, I won't say he was a disappointment for being 1st overall early in his career. Probably, in retrospect, we would acknowledge that he has been thus far the best left tackle with whom Patrick Mahomes has ever played. You could say Orlando Brown Jr. if you wanted. I think you would be wrong. But Eric Fisher was the best left tackle with whom Patrick Mahomes had played. Let's compare the two physically. Eric Fisher, if memory serves me correctly, I did not look into this before hitting the record button. I believe Eric Fisher was a redshirt senior as well entering the NFL, so he would have been much older when he got on the field in the first place. Eric Fisher was exceptionally tall, nearly 6'8". He was 6'7" and a quarter. That is much taller than the 6'4" and 5/8 of Kingsley Suamataia, but 6'4" and 5/8 is certainly tall enough. Eric Fisher was known for his athleticism and pass setting. At 306 pounds, he was a lithe offensive tackle. Kingsley Suamataia is 20 pounds heavier at 326 pounds. Eric Fisher had 34.5-inch arms, along with his 6'7" and 1/4-inch frame. On his 6'4" and 5/8" frame, Kingsley Suamataia has 34.25-inch arms, just 1/4 inch shorter than a much taller offensive tackle. However, the hand size, Kingsley Suamataia has 10 5/8" hands versus the 10 1/2" hands of Eric Fisher. So, though he is shorter, Kingsley has bigger hands. Then there's the 40-yard dash. Remember, Eric Fisher was known for his athleticism. That's one of the things that pushed him so far up in the draft. He ran a 5.05 40-yard dash. Well, the 20-pound heavier Kingsley Suamataia ran a 5.04. He did not do any of the cone drills. Eric Fisher had very impressive numbers for the cone drills. Kingsley Suamataia had a 28-inch vertical leap versus the 28.5-inch vertical leap for the athletic, uber athletic, known to be athletic first overall selection, Eric Fisher. The broad jump, Eric Fisher out-jumped Kingsley Suamataia by 6 inches, 9'8" to 9'2". And then there's the bench press. Kingsley Suamataia, 31 reps on the bench press versus 27 from Eric Fisher. So, yes, this rookie season is less than ideal for Kingsley Suamataia. I can concede that. We should take into account the fact that heading into this season, we probably would not feel quite as much as if it were a disappointing season had Kingsley Suamataia not excelled in training camp. Remember, I think all of us were kind of on the fence as to whether or not it would be Kingsley Suamataia or Wanya Morris at the left tackle position going into the season. I don't think any of us really felt there was a clear winner coming out of camp. The Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff certainly did, and they said it's Kingsley Suamataia. And he wasn't doing terrible up until that fateful afternoon against the Bengals. But had he not started the season as the starter, do you think you would feel so disappointed in the season that Kingsley Suamataia is having? I don't. I don't think it would feel that way. I don't think we would all be collectively down on Kingsley. A contributing, so were the Kansas City Chiefs also not in the midst of going for 3 consecutive Super Bowls if there were less pressure on this season? I think we might have seen more Kingsley Suamataia. I think we might not be seeing this DJ Humphries signing. Were we not in the middle of a 3-peat run, trying to be the first team to ever get to 3 consecutive Super Bowls? I think it's completely possible that the Chiefs would have given a little bit more slack to their left tackle. I think it's possible that the Kansas City Chiefs would have maybe been more comfortable rotating players. One of the things that the guys over at All Chiefed Up did or noticed, and if you're not over there but you're here, you should be over there as well. Those guys do great work, All Chiefed Up, the YouTube channel. One of the things that they noticed is that 75% of the snaps that Kingsley Suamataia was on the field, he was on an island. He was expected to take on that edge player one-on-one all by his lonely. That is actually an intriguing tidbit. Why? Well, the Chiefs seem to know he can do it. We know you have the physical tools and capabilities to go out there and handle that edge player by yourself. So if you don't do it, you're going to have to spend some time figuring it out in practice. That seems counterproductive. That seems counterintuitive. But guys, if they know he has the tools to do it, why would you want him on the field if he has to be helped anyway? Wanya Morris gets a little bit more help. Andy Reid is someone who really doesn't like giving his offensive tackles help in the first place. We've seen this time and again in Kansas City. If Andy Reid can leave his offensive tackles on an island, he's going to do it. And he wants to do it. Why? Noah Gray has to chip a defensive end before he goes out on his route. Now Noah Gray isn't downfield. He's closer to the line of scrimmage. He is not able to manipulate his corner slash safety slash linebacker. He has to be on the line of scrimmage. And that safety slash linebacker slash cornerback gets an extra little bump to say, okay, this is a pass play. Let me try to recognize the route. It throws everything off on the offense. Everything. So Andy Reid loves to have his offensive tackles on an island. So while it may seem that having Kingsley Suamataia on an island such a high percentage of his snaps on the field is a bad thing, I think it's actually a promising thing. Anyway, that is what I have for this. A few minutes trying to defend the Kingsley Suamataia selection and him as a player. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.